Hello and welcome to another episode of Overlord Explained. I'm Shergog, your host, and today we are going to talk about a very special summoning in Overlord. One tied to the scythe of the strongest godkin of Slain, Zesshi Zestumei, the Spartiates, unalived heteromorphic warriors. To word it again very YouTube friendly. But before we're going to take a closer look at today's topic, I again say thank you very much to all my Patreon members for supporting this channel, as well as special thanks to all of the names you see here. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. And the first thing I've noticed, they are correctly called Spartiates and not Spartans, because not everyone who lived in the militarized state of Sparta was actually and automatically a citizen or soldier. In other words, the name here refers specifically to Sparta's warrior elite, and you just have to love Overlord for this kind of detail-oriented approach to its lore. You can really tell that Maruyama-sama was a game master who spent weeks fleshing out campaign after campaign and story after story, pouring his heart into every single little detail. And Overlord again feels like the culmination of all of that, a pinnacle of lore and detail-obsessed world-building. Especially when you consider that this ultimately is the story of a character from the year 2138, whose avatar is transported into a real fantasy world. And still, all of the names of the skills and the summons come from the in-universe developers of the game Overlord Online, which Momonga played 100 years in the future. Overlord is more meta than the entire Facebook HQ, and since the developers of Overlord Online clearly drew inspiration from ancient history and states, of course not only from the Greek states, after all Overlord itself is the name of the world tree from Germanic and Norse mythology, Zashi, in her own fantasy world, isolated from all of this, can use tier magic to summon undead warriors bearing the name of Sparta's elite fighters. However, Zashi herself believes these summons to come from one of the 6 great gods of the theocracy of Slain, Surshana, who today is worshipped in the theocracy as a god of death, despite him just being a player. In other words, Zashi has no idea why they are called Spartiates, or why they are associated with death, because in ancient Greece there were the Spartoi, undead warriors, that sprouted from dragons' teeth, that were watered with blood. And here we see yet another of the many parallels between Ain's Ulgon and Surshana. Ain's orb carried an ability that is very effective against dragons, while Surshana's scythe contains a spell linked to undead warriors born from dragon teeth. This is how you foreshadow a conflict. So what exactly are these things in Overlord lore? Well, they are undead warriors, basically the equivalent of tier 5 summons, like the heavy skeleton warriors, but the Spartiates come equipped with much better gear, making them far more durable in combat. In other words, they fight at or above the levels of Elder Liches, Death Warriors or Death Assassins. And as I already have explained in my lore video about her scythe, Zashi can summon 5 of them at once, and up to 30 in a 24-hour period, and they fight with spears and, at least in Zeshi's case, as a coordinated group, covering each other in battle. Unfortunately, all of that didn't help much against Mare, because Nazarik's Floor Guardian was just completely overpowered compared to them. But for people like Gazav Stronov, Brain Anglaus, Clementine, or even Remedios, even a single one of these fighters would be a serious threat. And 30 of them, which Zashi could summon thanks to Sushana's scythe, so without doing anything herself. She would probably have enough troops and enough fighting force to conquer entire nations, or for example repel the demi-human attack on the Dragon Kingdom. However, the Spartiates come with a fascinating drawback. Unlike Ein summons, who can be buffed to become 30 to 40% stronger, the Spartiates cannot be buffed at all. That means they wouldn't be benefiting from Ein's Ulgon's summoning skills. And I find that very interesting, because Sushana and Ain's clearly had similar character builds. We know that because both could use the goal of all life is death. And to unlock the Eclipse class, that contains this strongest of undead skills, you need a build focused heavily on death magic and on undead summonings. So my guess is, since Soshana embedded not only the death spell, but also other necromantic abilities into his own scythe, and even included these unbuffed warriors, I suggest Soshana was actually more of a warrior build, who tried to pack as many undead skills as possible into his equipment just to still be able to access the goal of all life is death, without sacrificing too much experience points and skill points and classes of his true core warrior build. And with that said, this little Overlord lore video about one of the many undead summons in the story comes to an end. And now it's your turn. What do you think about the topic, about the video, about the power of the Spartiates, and of course about the connection between Sorshan and about Ein Sulgon, and my speculation about the build that the two share, and how Sorshanas might significantly differ? And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching, thanks to all of my Patreon members for supporting this channel, and as usual, I say my special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Girl Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon S, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Din Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feralchivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Le Louche Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lothrazer, Merwek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Ruru, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Karakos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Sonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.